You say, "Happy birthday, dear." Leah says, "Happy birthday, sweetheart." Yoon says, "Thank you so much, girls, and thank you for the gifts." You say, "Aish, don't say that. Today you turn sweet 18. Tonight is your night, so you should enjoy it." Leah says, "Yes, she's right, and maybe you'll find a boyfriend tonight. Who knows?" Leah says it with a teasing smile. Yoon says, "Ah, come on, Leah. Don't tease me. What do you girls want to drink?" You say, "Anything is fine for me." Leah says, "Same here." Jiun says, "Then I'll go get us something to drink." With that, Jiang leaves the table for a moment. Leah says, "It's really nice here, isn't it?" You say, "Yes, it is." Yun comes back and places the drinks on the table. Yoon says, "I'm back." Leah says, "Thank you." Leah says, "I love places like this so much. Thank you for inviting us to your birthday, Jian." You say, "Yes, yes, because you found a boyfriend here." Leah says, "No, it's not like that." You say, "Yeah, we know." Yan says, "And when did you start dancing with him again? When you were drunk and asked him to be your boyfriend right away?" Leah says, "Yeah, stop, don't do this to me." You and Jian laugh so hard that Leah hides her face. Yen says, all right, all right." You say, "Don't be upset, we were just kidding, girl." Jayan says, "Come on, girls, let's go." Leah says, "Where?" Jiyun says, "What do you mean, where?" "Come on, let's dance." She takes your hand before you can escape. You say, "But." Yangyun says, "It's my birthday. Come on, let's dance and have fun." Leah says, "Come on, let's go." You say, "All right then, let's go." You dance with your friends until your feet ache, laughing under the lights and forgetting everything for a while. After some time, you sit down to rest. You say, I'm so tired. I don't know how those two still have energy." Your friends come back and sit beside you. Leah says, "Girls, let's do something more interesting." Yoon says, "A few seconds ago, you wanted to dance, and now you're bored." Leah says, "Yeah, I'm bored." You say, "What do you want to do?" Yan says, "And please say something good, not something crazy." Leah says, "Don't worry, you will also like it." You say, "All right then, tell us what it is." Leah says, "Let's play truth or drink. This game is popular these days." Yan says, "I'm in, let's play." Leah calls out to you. You say, "Look, I agree with this because it's Yan's birthday, okay? And don't think of something dumb." Leah says, "Don't worry, you can trust me." Leah suddenly looks past your shoulder. Leah says, "Oh wait, Jian, I think some of your friends are here." Yun says, "Jimin, Jeongyan, over here." Yun waves at them. You say, "Jahan is here, your ex?" Leah says, "Yeah, he is here." You say, "Why didn't you tell me, Yeyun?" Gyan says, "Sorry, I." Jimin says, "Happy birthday, Jiyun. I hope you won't fight with me anymore." Yin says, "I won't promise you, but I will refrain from beating you tonight." Jimin says, this girl. I don't even know why I came here." Jiyoungkan says, "Hi." You say, "Hi." Your tone is cold enough to make the table go quiet. Yongken says, happy birthday, Jiyeon." Yoon says, "Thank you so much for coming, guys. Let's have fun." You say, "Leah, I don't want to be here." You whisper it low. Leah says, "Don't worry, I'm here." She pats her back. Leah and Jian are your best friends. You have known them for years, and they are more like sisters than friends. They know everything about you, including everything that happened with Jian Kan. Jagkin says, "Long time no see, right? How are you?" You say, "I'm good." Jiankan says, "I'm glad to hear that. So, you won't ask me how I am?" You say, "No, and I don't care." Jiankan says, "I'm so sorry, I..." You say, "Don't start. Please don't." Jongkan says, "Can we please talk?" You say, I have nothing to talk to you about, and I don't want to. Yokan says, just give me 5 minutes. I will explain everything. You say, look, I don't want to hear anything from you. We broke up. Jeonkan says, but I want to talk. You were the one who broke up with me. Look, I still love you. You say, I don't care anymore. I can't go back to you. You cheated on me. Jeonkan says, I was drunk. Please forgive me. You say, if you loved me that much, you would never have cheated on me, drunk or not. Jeonkan says, please. You get up and start to leave, but he follows you. You say, I don't want to talk about this anymore. He grabs your hand. Jeonkan says, just give me one more chance. You say, I have a boyfriend. Young-un says, don't lie to me. I know you very well. You say, I'm not lying. Actually, he is here. Do you want to see him? Jeonkan says, please, just give me another chance. I want to be with you. You know he is not going to give up, so you decide to prove your lie before it falls apart. You say, all right then, we'll see who is lying. You look around the party until your eyes land on a handsome guy standing with his friends. He is tall, calm, and exactly your type. Without thinking too much, you walk straight up to him and hug him. You say, please help me, sir. You whisper it near his ear while holding his hand. Youngkin calls out to you. You say, I told you, I have a boyfriend. Tae says, what is happening, sir? Is everything all right? Jungkook says, don't worry, I know her. Tae says, then I'll go. Tae leaves with a knowing look. You say, he is my boyfriend, now leave, please. Yokan says, I don't believe you. You say, all right then, what about now? You turn to the stranger and kiss him before your courage disappears. For 1 second, you think he will push you away. Instead, he kisses you back. He pulls you closer, calm and confident, making the lie feel dangerously real. When you finally pull away, Jeongin is gone. You are ready to escape, but the stranger catches your waist. Jungkook says, I'm sorry, but what was that for? He smirks. You say, You step back quickly. You say, thank you so much for helping me. I have to go now. You leave before he can ask anything else. Jungkook says, I have never seen a girl reject me like that. His eyes follow you through the crowd. Jungkook says, I can see it in her eyes. She is something special. Leah says, where were you? Your friend rushes to you as soon as you return. You say, is Jin Won here? Leah says, no, he left. What happened? You say, I will explain later. Yoon says, since everyone is here, let's start the game. We will play truth or drink. Whoever doesn't want to tell the truth has to drink a glass. Leah says, fine, I'll start. Jia, truth or drink? Jia says, truth. Leah says, do you have a crush on someone? Jia says, yes, I do. Leah says, oh, who is it? Jia says, only one question should be asked, right? Leah says, Ish, this girl is always getting on my nerves. You say, come on, it's just a game, leave her. Leah says, I don't care if it's a game or not, this girl really annoys me. Leah says, Jia, you're next, ask someone. Leah gives her a fake smile. Jia says, Jiungguan. I'm going to ask Jiungguan. Leah says, as you can see, he is not here. Ask someone else. Jia says, but where is he? Leah says, I don't know. Go ask him if you're curious. You say, Leah, it's okay. Don't pick a fight with her. That is how the game begins. Almost everyone gets drunk as the questions get messier. Jia keeps choosing you and asking about your relationship with Jongin, and every time she does, you drink instead of answering. You do not know why Jia hates you so much. You never hurt her. You never did anything to her. But everyone knows she likes Jongin, and you are too tired to care. Jia says, come on, tell me. Leah says, girl, she doesn't want to talk about it. Go away before I beat you here in front of everyone. Gia says, "Oh no, I'm scared." Gia says it dramatically. Gia says, "I'm asking her, not you." Leah says, "Don't play with me. Leave her alone." Gia says, "Look, don't." Ian says, "What is happening here?" Leah says, "Yen, please take this girl somewhere else or I'm going to start a fight." You say, "June, please enjoy your time. Today is your birthday. I will go home." Leah says, "I will come with you and send you off." Gia says, "Don't pretend to be such a good friend." Leah says, "Yeah?" Jaeyoon says, "Gia, please go there with the boys. I'll come in a minute." Shia sighs and leaves. Leah says, "Finally, let's go. I'll drop you off." You say, "No, I'll go alone." Yent says, "But you're drunk. Let her go with you." You say, "I know what I'm doing. I'll call my brother, okay? You two stay here and have fun." Leah says, "Are you sure?" You say, "Yes, don't worry. I'll go now. Bye-bye." After you leave the party, you call your brother to pick you up. You say, "Hey, can you pick me up if you're free?" Your brother says, "Sure, I will. Send me your location. I'm coming." You say, "All right, I'll send it now." The call ends. You send him your location and wait outside for him to arrive. After a while, a car stops in front of you. You think it is your brother, so you open the door and get inside. You say, "Thank you so much for coming." Jungkook says, "It wasn't enough that you kissed me. Now you're getting into my car, too." You say, "AHH, what are you doing here?" Jungkook says, "I think I should be asking you that. What are you doing in my car?" You say, I'm so sorry. I will go now. I thought that, never mind. Sorry." Jungkook says, "Wait, where do you think you're going after taking my first kiss?" You say, "Excuse me?" Jungkook says, "You heard me right." He smirks, leaning back like this whole night has just become interesting. Jungkook says, "And from what I can see, your first kiss with me lasted a lot longer than a fake one should."